Oh, yes. That's where that went. Okay. Well, that's what we're going to have to do then. Let's go ahead and load up this live stream. Well, that's what we're going to have to do then. There we go. So, I think the fastest thing that I can do so let's do, it is quite a mess on the 3D printing workbench right now. We've got a lot of functional parts printing. Just a lot going on right now. Let's see if I can't get this thing set up for just a second here. Okay. Let's see. We're just going to wait for some people to fill up this live stream while we get started here. But anybody that's watching later today, after it's been filmed, welcome to the video, huh? So what I'm going to do today is I have a 3D printer that's been having an issue with something on the gantry, and I'm not quite sure how to fix it yet, but I have taken this printer apart many, many, many times. So I'm going to attempt to just do what we do and take it apart and fix it again. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to load up this live stream notification out of my email, which it should tell me. And it's not, which is really weird. Hi to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you being here. We're about to get going on fixing this dang thing. I hope we're streaming on the right channel. I believe we are. What channel is this? Joy of Fixing, right? Hope so. Hey, washers are cool. How are you? I'm about to start working on this 3D printer today. And I'm just trying to get this printer, or I'm just trying to get the live stream going, but today we're going to go ahead and fix this 3D printer. Now I'm trying to figure out where the live stream is, and honestly, my computer's not telling me where the live stream is streaming from. Now, I know it's on the Joy of Fixing account, but whatever. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be investigating what's up with one of these 3D printers because I'm having a real issue with it. We're going to go over that right now. I just love to talk to anybody that's in the chat while we're loading up here. You have 3 3D printers. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. I also have 3 3D printers. Right now, we have the Bamboo P1S with AMS printing an upgrade kit for the printer. It's building parts for itself. But what we want to work on today is I've got these 2 Creality Ender 3v3s, great printers. And the problem that I've had is I had purchased, this was my very first printer, this one. And the thing about it is that I've always had some major problems with it. And I have not been able to get it to, oh, nice, A1's great. So I've always had some major problems with printer number 1 here. And printer number 1 is a good printer, and I've replaced a lot of parts on it, and it's very mechanically and electronically sound at this point. I've replaced circuit boards. I've replaced the logic boards in the tool head. But then I recently bought another one. And I finally was able to identify something that's wrong with this one that I had a hunch about, but I wasn't quite sure. Now I'm pretty sure. I was getting still weird wobble and inconsistency in the print and weird tip clipping on models and stuff. And I've gone through all the reasons why that would happen. And what I've found is this here is very nice and tight to the slider rail. But this here has some real play in it, which I assumed was a function to give it kind of a little spring and safety. But that doesn't make sense because it's a precision machine. And so for it to have lack of precision there with up to a millimeter wobble doesn't make sense. And so I've decided that there's probably a bad bearing or like a loose gantry wheel or something. So what I want to do is I want to pull this printer out of service again. And I'm going to want to see if I can't get it fixed. So we're going to take the tool head apart again. I'm just trying to hop into any YouTube channel I can find that has... Oh, here's the live stream. Okay, guys. Hey, I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe. I'm going to send a copy of this to myself so I can answer your chats while we're here because I won't be able to see the camera just like I can't now. So I'm switching to where I can get into the account. And now I should be able to see all you guys in the chat. And I can. There we go. Washers are cool. Has a Prusa MK4S. Wow, dude. Let's go. As you can see, I'm wearing my fancy Pikachu pants. The A1 Mini. Let's go. Great little printer. I almost got the A1, and then I sprung for the P1S with the AMS. And I have another P1S coming this week with the AMS too, so that I can do 8-color printing. Because honestly, when I have to do a 5 or 6 color print, and all there is available is 4, I don't want to be switching roles. What's the point of having automation if the whole stinking time I'm still babysitting it? That was what I was trying not to do. So let's see if we can't... Let's see if we can't get in the table here. I'm going to pull this printer out of commission right now. And we'll get the laptop set up over here and everything so that we can start working on it. So let me pull this and let me pull the power cord. And let's bring it over to the table and have a little work session with it. Where's that power cord? Right there? Okay. We'll leave the power cord here right now. Nothing to do with that. And let's bring this little guy over to the work table. I'm going to disconnect the camera tower that I've printed for it because that is not necessary right now. And I guess I'll just use my Creality toolkit. That ought to be better than anything right now. And let's go ahead and try to work on this thing a little and see what we got. I think we're going to want to zoom that up just a little bit. There, I think that's going to be probably just fine. There we go. All right, you guys. Well, I don't do a lot of live streams on this channel, honestly. I just don't. This is kind of a new thing for the joy of fixing. But as some of you may or may not know, I have a chronic pain disability, and it really takes me out of the game pretty frequently. And so this is at least something I can work on and fix and do with my time. And that's been pretty enjoyable compared to doing nothing. All right, so the first thing I need to do is take anything unnecessary off of this print configuration or this print setup. So let me see if I can just bring this table over here a little bit. I'm kind of trying to get a good setup here where I can work on it in a way that you guys can see as well. And let's see. I'll just put that phone right there. Actually, I'm going to turn the printer into a phone holder. There it goes. Okay. So I'm going to roll out this Creality toolkit because it's the toolkit I have right now. And we're going to just start taking stuff that's in the way off of this printer. I'm just going to go ahead and snip this excess filament. I can pull that later with a little bit of extrude and retract. But for now, let's just take that off the printer and make sure that we don't have to deal with that. I'll just run this back through here, take it out of the filament guide that I've printed for this printer. Every little upgrade I could print for this printer, I think I have, except for the dumb ones. What I've noticed about the 3D printing community is that sometimes people just invent stupid stuff, like real stupid stuff, unneeded stupid stuff. And so I try not to print that stuff and I try not to use that stuff. But sometimes you get little tools like this filament guide and this forward leaning spool arm that are actually pretty useful. So, you know, sometimes you can find something useful that you can print and add to the printer, but I don't know. I don't like that. So I've got a problem. The issue with, like I had said when we were introing this video, is that with this printer, I've noticed that there is this slight play. Let me see if you guys can hear that with the mic. Now that shouldn't be happening, and it's stiff on the other printer. So I'm not really sure why it's doing that. I had assumed it was a normal tolerance at one point, but now I'm starting to believe that that may be one of the major lingering defects that I have going on right now. And so I think as much as I hate to take it apart again, I have to take this tool head apart. And I really don't want to because I've done it so many times. And I think I'm literally going to have to decable it and take out the logic board and everything to get to this part, which I really don't want to do. But I feel like I have to. So my real question is, where are the fasteners for this whole assembly? And can it be remedied? Yeah, it's in the top. And I can see that that part is, wow. It's a lot of play. I wish I could see where the fasteners were for it, but I really don't have a flashlight. I guess I could try the flashlight on my phone and see if I can see anything through there. But I've had this open a lot of times. A lot of times. Oh, maybe. Let's take a risk on the back. I think that it's got to be a better chance than maybe. I mean, why not, right? Why not try the back? Guys, I'd love if you could give me a like or a subscribe. It helps people find the channel because my content has slowed down so drastically. Anything helps. Also, I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to set a goal. If you guys feel like helping me on it, that's great. Let's see. Let's do a tiny little goal. Let's do a timer for 1 hour. And let's try to buy a new tool head cover. If you guys want to help me out with that goal, I'd sure appreciate it. You totally don't have to. But I would love if you could help me out. What I've got it set for is $2 super chat, real cheap. And if I can get 10 of those $2 super chats, I can order a new tool head cover for this from a guy on eBay that still has one, which I really could use. Anyway, at this point, we're going to go ahead and start taking this tool head back plate off. I think that's the place to start, probably. Now, I have a screwdriver set that was already set up for this, but we're going to try this one out because I just got it and I like it and it has all the bits I'd typically need. I believe we're going to be right in this range here. You ever taken something apart so many times that you can just tell before you even look at the fastener which bits you're probably going to need? I know that happens to me all the time. Yep, there it is. This Creality toolkit's pretty good, and if I had the time, I'll tell you what, I'll try to pin it into the description of this video once it's done and I upload it. Now, if you guys think 3D printing's cool or you don't know anything about it and you'd like to start watching, I live stream 3D printing every day, and I'm in and out of the channel talking to people off and on throughout the day too. I try to make myself available as somebody to help new 3D printing people, as well as I like being available to talk to people who've been in it for a while, because we all learn from each other and we all have different experiences with this. And it's fun to share your knowledge and be able to put together answers to the questions that we all might have. Now, this is probably one of the hardest parts of getting this tool cover off, is popping that cable connector. Please come off, little friend. Oh, that screw's still not loose. Well, that's going to be a problem. You got to get the screw off, am I right? There we go. See if that won't pop on out of there. For the life of me, I can't figure out why they would not make this a magnetic screwdriver. I'm always shocked because these are the parts you don't want to lose, right? These little teeny ones. And all these people that make these sets, good, we did take the right side off. How very unusual. It appears that everything is tight. That really concerns me, because I'm wondering if there's some sort of a sleeve that's worn out. If only I had a bigger hammer. More power, brother, more power. Well, this circuit board's halfway off. Let's just pop it the rest of the way here and see if we can't get access to those little sleeves for the gantry. Because I've got a hunch that something's loose. I don't know why it would be at this point. I don't know if you guys remember, we'd done another live stream fairly recently where I had replaced this T9 board and repaired some cables in here. And, you know, it is what it is. All right, well, it's loose now, which should give us some access at least. So I am looking for any... That is so unusual. I feel like there's got to be... I see that this other one has... Isn't that odd? I think all we can try to do is tighten these up right now. It appears that there's some sort of a piece of felt in here that kind of guides on the rails, which is fine, cool. But it's very, very loose. And it seems like there's some sort of a shimming sleeve in there. This side has a full radius sleeve. And it appears that this side has it. Oh, it looks like it's broken out. I'm going to have to get out the calipers and probably print one, because I guarantee you can't order that part anymore. Boy, I'd hate to have to dedicate my time to that today, but if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. Let's look at the other side. No, that doesn't appear to be it. I wonder why that other one is so tight and this one is so loosey-goosey. Incredibly strange. I believe that I can pop this harness, though. The bottom one looks like it's much more involved, but the top one just appears to be a guide, which is wonderful. I guess let's go ahead and pop it off. I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't want to take this stuff apart. Let's get this all down in here. That's for the tool head. And then this stuff up here can be for this little guider on the gantry. Hopefully this thing doesn't just flip off the rail, you know what I mean? So you guys feel free to ask questions in the chat. That's always nice, instead of me just trying to come up with something to fill the dead space. I would, if you guys want to see close-ups, I can move the tripod around on what I'm working with. I can really just kind of do whatever makes the most sense for the chat. Wow, that's so loose. I bet you there's a part in here that's supposed to get replaced or serviced. There's no way there's not. Great. Okay. So, aha. Oh, no, maybe not. So it does have a spring in it. That's what I'd assumed was going on. There's a spring on the guide. I wonder if that spring has just become worn. I feel like if I stretch this spring out a little, yeah, I bet you that's all it needed was some extra tension on that spring. I bet you that's going to change it. While I'm in here, here's what I'm looking at, you guys. If you can see that. Oh, this thing's disgusting. Like, truly gross. Hang on. Let's get some paper towels on that. Well, honestly, I think that spring's going to make a world of difference. If it's worn from collision, that's everything. But boy, this thing is just gooped up. I can't even imagine why there's so much goop on that. Because this isn't really a part that's supposed to be goopy. I mean, I don't even think you're supposed to grease these parts. From what I understand, you're supposed to keep them clean. And I'm wondering if due to greasing that somebody had that's so interesting. I wonder if somebody had greased this and now the felt is full of grease and deteriorating. Not that we can do much about it without taking this entire portion of the printer apart. But now that explains why this rod has always got grease streaks on it. But I think that we're going to leave that alone. This isn't even a part I can order or buy right now. Maybe I could order it for the 3v3 Plus, but boy, that's sticky. And the rail is sticky. And the back of this print head is sticky. I'd love to show you guys what I'm doing here. Why? I bet I could. I bet I could. I bet I could get that camera in here and show you. Let's do that just for a second here. It's funny because when you take video of the thing you're fixing, everybody's like, show us your face. Then you show them their face, and they're like, gross. We don't want to see that. We want to see what you're working on. So it's always hard to know what to film when I do these. Let's see if we can't get kind of on this little thing a bit. There we go. I think that ought to give you guys a little better of a view kind of into... Yeah, that's kind of going to be a little better view. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this little slider that interacts with the rod here just kind of lives on this rail. And it's supposed to slide pretty good, and it allows the bearings to go back left and right. But it's kind of gummy too. It's getting gummy because somebody did lubrication in here when it should have just been felt sliding. So I'm actually getting some binding on the rail, which is kind of gross. I think all I can do is repeatedly clean this rail a little. Yeah, that seems to help a lot. There's no real way to clean out the inside of that tube because it's been greased. But what I can do is just try to keep cleaning it until maybe the grease runs out. But I'd love to know if I could find that sleeve. The only problem is I'm going to have to assemble or disassemble this entire belt pulley system. I really don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that at all. It's just some real complicated trash that I don't want to do to this printer. There's things I do like to fix. There's things I will fix that I don't want to fix. But I don't want to fix that if I don't have to. So that's a better slide right there. I'm going to make sure I can get some cleanliness on the rails here and not get any of that grease on the belts, because boy, that'll start deteriorating those belts. Yeah, you can see all that gunk. This should not have been greased. This is a part that just needs to remain cleaned and polished. Let's try to move that without damaging it. Now we're talking. Okay, so I have stretched out this spring a little bit to give it a little more life, which ought to give it more tension against this sliding collar. And I honestly think that might fix the problem. It's amazing what you can find if you're just willing to take something apart. So now that that little guy is stretched out, I want to clean the rest of the grease off of anywhere that it's on these parts, because it shouldn't have been there. I don't know why someone would grease this, but this is what you get when you buy used machinery sometimes, is people just, they think everything has to be lubricated and they use wet lubricant when they should have used dry lubricant or no lubricant. Or they'll use grease and then the grease just starts deteriorating parts like felt sliders. Just not great. So I think we're good. This seems like it wants to slide pretty well. Now I can kind of hear some roughness in that sliding. I sure wish they hadn't greased that. That was a really bad idea, whoever did that. I can feel it just grabbing all over these rails. It's pretty sad. Too bad. Too bad that got greased. That's really like, it's clearly long-term damage that will be caused there. There we go. All right, I think we're gonna, I'm glad it was right there. Boy, we could have ended up having to pull much more. Let's go ahead and attempt to reassemble this thing. I'm going to go ahead and slide this about where it should be. And then we're going to try to force it in, although I don't know if there's positive placement on this that's going to allow it to lock. Oh, possibly. Let's grab one of these little bolts, or whatever you want to call them, fasteners. Huh. Let's see if we can't lock this collar back in place now. I'd love to think that we could. Get in there. This piece really does, it is difficult to feed it back behind this little motor for the feeder assembly. It's probably going to be the hardest part of this. Get in there. Boy, that spring is tight now, you guys, like super tight. I think that's the repair we needed. Oh man, it's so tight. Before, this part just came flopping off. Let's see if we can't get some fasteners started on this. Good, good, good. I'm kind of excited now. I always get excited when I think a fix is coming together on this. Boy, this ought to fix a world of problems with this printer. Okay, now let's make sure. Yep, that looks pretty good. Looks good. Let's start attaching these fasteners here. You know what I constantly see on these machines is these plastic parts, people over tighten them. Wonder if anybody in the chat could tell me if this microphone's working or not. Pretty low. There we go. You know, you need to understand how it feels to click a tighten or tighten a fastener. Nope, not working. Thanks. Thank you. All right, well, the mic's not working, so poo poo pee pee wee wee. All right, so the difference between over tightening and under tightening is all by feel. I mean, you could get out a torque wrench, but who's going to torque these screws, honestly? I just need to get it in into where it's got no resistance, and then I'm going to give it just a nice little, about a quarter turn until I feel it just starting to snug. Now, this is something I've seen people damage on these printers multiple times, is these little wires here, they'll get stuck behind this board, and when they put them in, they like screw the cable into, I can see it right here. I can already see this cable failing. Although I think that they put some pretty low quality wires on these parts, but this is a brand new part I installed and never damaged, and I can see that wire is already cracking, which is absolutely crazy. Brand new part. That's so wild. I can't believe that that's cracking. We just put this part in like a month ago, maybe. And it was perfect. And now just from riding around in here, you can see that wire jacket has exposed itself. And that's pretty frustrating. The design on this system is really bad. A lot of companies have had really bad design on these. And I'm going to just push that out of the way for now. There's not much I can do to repair it. I don't have any liquid jacket to spray on it. But I find that unbelievably sad that such a brand new part could have a defect in that wire like that. Boy, that is frustrating. I really don't want to pull this whole thing. Ugh, dang it. We got to do the right thing. At least I got to put a little daub of glue on it or something. Something to cover that up. Not happy about that. That's really cheesy. Let's see if this little all-purpose wrench can pull this stud. Nothing that small, huh? Well, we got a little conundrum here, ladies and gents. I wonder... Darn that thing. I cannot believe that. That's unbelievable, Creality. Make a better part. You can see how many times I've had to repair this wire. Unbelievably disappointing. So the thing about the way people are making, look at that wire's pretty much just falling off of that motor. Oh my gosh, it's going to just stop working, isn't it? Golly, unbelievably bad, Creality. Brand new part. You better believe I'm taking a picture of that. Yes, sirree. I'm going to have Creality send me another one of those. You better believe. Unbelievable. Unbelievable lack of quality control. Well, I must have a bottle of glue here somewhere. Yep, sure do. Going to at least blob some glue on that wire and try to cover up that hole in the jacket. And I think I ought to just spray some quick accelerate on it too. It won't hurt anything. It's so interesting how often you'll take something apart and you'll go to fix something that you knew needed fixed. And of course it's glued to that now, right? Ghetto, dude. Unbelievable. It's amazing how often you'll go to fix something and then when you open it up, you're like, oh, look, this part was produced wrong. Or this part was installed wrong. Or this isn't the only thing that's wrong. This other thing is wrong. I mean, it happens like every time I fix something, every time I open something up to fix it, You always find something else. It's just incredibly disappointing that these companies that sell these little tiny parts for like 30 or 40 bucks, they're just not quality controlling their parts. So you have a delicate little part that breaks, and then you go to replace it, and you order the brand new part from the manufacturer, and it's busted. Or it's not busted. You find out the reason the old one broke is the same reason the new one will break in a month. Because they decided to use the cheapest wire that they could order from China to manufacture that part. Unbelievable. All right, well, I believe that we've fixed 2 issues here now. Let's go ahead and attempt to put this old boy back together. We'll put him on the old power deck and try to run a test print with it. Maybe a benchy boat. It's always a good test of its high-speed abilities. I would like to think that this would print a really nice benchy now. Let's see if that wobble's gone. Oh, yeah, dude. That's so tight now. That's the way it should feel. That's exciting. That's great. That's what we wanted. Let's plug this cooling fan in right here. And then let's try to get this in here without crossing any wires. And that top wiring harness needs to be, come on, seat. You know, it's too bad on these old printers that nobody's going to build conversion kits for them. But like these long communication cables that just burn out and they're like 30, 40, 50 bucks a piece. And you can hardly find them. You just have to find people that stockpile them, and now you've got to find them like on eBay because the manufacturer doesn't make them anymore, and which means the printer will eventually become trash, which is absurd because these machines should be able to last forever if you just keep repairing and maintaining them. But a lot of people now are going to completely replacing these parts with just a standard USB-C cable. And that way, if it gets heat rot, if it gets motion wear, you literally just get yourself a new USB cable and plug it in, and your machine is repaired. Instead of all of this baloney, your breakdown parts are just a cheap USB cable. And that is so much more reasonable. I mean, it is 2026, y'all. We went to the moon 50 years ago, or so they say. Let's go. 60 years ago, maybe? All right, well, this is not going to slide in because, there we go. That's good enough. Dang, you little ding-dong. Why don't you get seated there? There we go. Wrap that old piece of electrical tape. Time to find a new roll of electrical tape. That tape's been on there a long time. There's still a little play in there, but it's not like it was. It's got a lot more tension. And I believe it's supposed to have play. Obviously, there wouldn't be a spring there if it wasn't supposed to have a little bit of spring to it. But boy, this thing was slop city. And I think that's going to be an improvement. There we go. There's one. The other thing is hard is when you buy these machines used and you go to service them, you realize not only did somebody not do a great job servicing them sometimes, but they also stripped screws. And so you're working with just like some weird stripped fasteners. Or like they used a star bit in an Allen bit hole. Just something like that, you know. Like all these tool head covers are cracked out. These screws aren't there to tighten. They're there to just go through a hole on these plastic tool heads and kind of hold it in the right position. But instead, people tighten them down and crack them. And not only can you not buy these parts anymore, but there's also nobody that makes a 3D model that you can print, which is insane. But it's an older printer now, so nobody's going to make that part. Nobody's going to design that part. You're just stuck without that part. It just is what it is. I think that we've got a successful repair on that now, or at least as successful as it can be. Yeah, that's pretty tight, and the spring has the tension it should. I think that's going to be good. Let's clean this other rod here, although I don't think they ever greased it. I don't know why they ever greased the top one. It's very weird. You got two slider rails here, and you decide you're supposed to grease them, but you only grease one. I just can't understand. I can't get inside somebody's head like that. I can't understand what in the world they must have been thinking. I need to print myself a rod cleaner tool. They make a little tool that you can print out, and it'll hold one of these paper towel or a cloth or something like that, and it'll let you clean it out. All right, well, just a typical little wipe down of all the doo-doo and whatever on here. And I think this old girl is ready for some test printing. But before that, I think I'm going to do what I always do. Good insurance policy. Where is it? Get some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. And make sure that none of that glue activator spray is left on the print bed, because when I print, I don't want to run into a bed adhesion issue. So I always use rubbing alcohol. Guys say to use Dawn dish soap, and I just argue till I'm blue in the face with these people that are all know-it-alls. But the thing is, Dawn dish soap's great. If you got a bunch of gunk and you're one of those guys that's using glue sticks on your print bed, then yeah, you probably do want to give it a run on Dawn dish soap, because you're never going to get all that stupid glue off of there. But I would also say don't use a glue stick. That's kind of dumb. What I would say is, first of all, if you're going to clean your bed with Dawn dish soap, you better rinse it off a bunch, because if you've got soft water where you live, that soap is never going to completely wash off. So you're going to want to wash it with rubbing alcohol in the end. I never have used Dawn dish soap ever, and I never have bed adhesion issues. Now, if I have a print that I feel like is going to risk an adhesion issue, what I use is a can of hairspray. And I pull off this print bed, and I hold it up and just give it a nice little lick of hairspray, and I'm telling you what, that is way better than covering your bed in glue stick blobs. I can't even imagine. Then you get glue up on your nozzles. Like, I don't know who these people are, but it's usually somebody that heard something once, and they thought it makes sense, and now they'll evangelize that bad idea for the rest of their lives. Just like people hear crazy things on the news that we always find out over time are not correct, and they still stick to it. You know what I mean? I took that medicine. I took that medicine because I didn't want to die, and my husband took it too. But boy, I'll tell you what, he ended up dying. I guess the medicine didn't work quick enough. And then all the reviews come out and all the science comes out and says that that medicine was actually killing people faster than the sickness. And of course, these people don't want to say, oh man, I wish I'd known because I made my husband take that medicine and it killed him. They don't want to believe that. That's too hard of a truth to believe. And they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be the person that said, did you take your medicine? Did you take your medicine? And then people get sick and die. They don't want to be the bad guy. So the easiest thing to keep doing is believing the lie, because it would be hard to have to be wrong and have consequences for being wrong or look like an idiot. And so I see the same mentality when it comes to washing your print bed with Dawn soap. These guys are hardcore about it, and they can't think any other way about it. And they're wrong. They're just wrong. You need to clean. Your final cleaning needs to be with rubbing alcohol. And then all these guys say, oh no, the rubbing alcohol will deteriorate your print bed. You know what? Show me one picture anywhere on the entirety of the internet that is a print bed that has been deteriorated from rubbing alcohol. You're crazy. You're making things up. You just don't want to be wrong. Just try my way. I'm telling you. I have great success. All right, let's get this little guy set up with the other two printers. He's ready to go back in service and do a test print. So let's clear the spot for him and bring him back. This little camera tower, I printed these yesterday. I have this neon orange filament from a company that was called Printbed USA. And Printbed USA was like a monthly subscription service where you could order like a surprise box, like a loot crate. You know how people do the loot crates? And you could get yourself monthly surprise filament colors. And it was supposed to like, you know what they always say about these stupid subscription boxes is have them send you something you'd never order for yourself so it can spark your creativity, because it'll make you think of things you never would have thought of otherwise because you would have never bought this for yourself. And to me, I think that's a crazy idea. Sometimes that works, but this company's entire business model was based off of sending you filament that you didn't have any control of. It was just surprise filament every month. And don't get me wrong, that's fun. I can't say that if a family member got me that I wouldn't think it was cool. I think that'd be way cool to have some surprise roll of filament show up every month. But the point is, it didn't last. That company didn't last. Wasn't a sustainable business model. Who'd have thunk it? And by golly, they went out of business. And it's actually a shame because they made very good filament, and it was American made. It prints like smooth as butter. The temperature tolerances are fantastic, and they're out of business because of whatever it was they thought they were doing with subscription boxes. Let me get my little camera mount under there. There we go. Old Creality 2's back on the bench. Let's plug it in, and let's go ahead and run a benchy. That'd be pretty cool, especially if it runs it butter smooth. Now, I'd love to know in the chat. I know there's not a lot of you here. And of course, I'd love to know from anyone watching this stream later in my 10,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for getting us up near 10,000. We're almost there. It's my own fault that we haven't grown more because I've been so unwell physically that I haven't been able to create the content I usually would. But I still appreciate that this channel's continued to grow. And I would love to see it keep growing. I'd love to know if you guys have interest in this 3D printing stuff, because I've found that a lot of people are getting into 3D printing, but the thing is, a lot of people aren't very technically minded, and just because you can buy a printer and plug it in and down something and print it doesn't mean it's going to look good, and you're going to have problems, and they'll get worse and worse the longer you own a printer. You're going to get frustrated and want to throw it out or sell it on Marketplace. And really, you just need to learn some stuff about your slicer and learn some stuff about your hardware. Learn how to run it properly instead of running it the ways that you've figured out. And you're going to have a way better situation at hand. All right, I got this thing started up again, and I've got that loose chunk of filament from when we unloaded it off the table. So we're going to go ahead and run a retraction cycle on this. And we're going to go ahead and try to get the old filament loose and stick this last little roll of leftover filament in there to test a benchy boat. And we'll just see how that turns out. I'm going to go ahead and stick the microphone on the printer because everybody seems to think that's just the greatest. And it is the greatest. Why not? Wish there was somewhere funner to clip it, but that tends to work. There we go. All right, let's see if we can get this old material to flush out of the nozzle. That would mean that that wire repair is good, that everything's hooked up properly again. And we're starting to spit that old material out. Oh no, give me some I can pull out still. You gotta stop, you gotta stop, you gotta stop. Oh, it took it away. Now I gotta pull the top open real quick. There we go. There we go. Let's get that out of there. All right. I feel like I need to cut this PTFE, but it's pretty good. I'll wait until it starts giving me trouble. And let's go ahead and refeed this filament. off the roll. Let's tell it we want to extrude. I'm going to push it up the guide tube in the back here, which you guys can't see. Ooh, it's not making it past that stop gate. There we go. Looks like it's pulling. I can feel it entering the gears. It ought to start spitting out here pretty soon, and then we'll just try to print that little boat. I wish I could time-lapse this for you, but this is not a video that's going to get any post-production editing. It's just going to go live like it does. Looking good. Like it. Let's go ahead. Throw that little filament guide on there like I forgot to. And let's go ahead and try to print that little test boat now. Let's see if we don't get a smoother print on it than I did last night when I discovered it was time to repair this thing. Where's the boat? There's the boat. Print the boat. Don't crush my microphone. All right, we're going to leave it to print. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Always appreciate you being here. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Enjoy watching this little boat print, and I'll check in with you at the end to see how the quality of it was. All right, hopefully it finishes printing here. It's going to run a leveling job first. What this machine does is every single print, it checks to make sure it's level to the bed so it doesn't risk having any collisions with the nozzle. And it doesn't risk damaging the print surface. So that's actually a pretty cool feature. The older ones didn't tend to have that, and that was a real problem. That's why all these dummies now, when you have a problem with a printer, they're telling you to adjust your Z height. They have no idea what they're talking about on a self-leveling bed printer. If it self-levels, it knows exactly what your Z height should be. Don't touch those settings. Your prints are just going to get worse. Unless you have something that doesn't have a self-leveling bed, you do not need to be messing with your bed leveling settings or your Z settings at all, like at all. That's some crazy, 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 close-minded, no experience people giving you answers on that. All right, guys, I'm going to let this go for about 15 minutes, and then I'll be back at the end to see what the results are.